Hello Capricorn, my name is Jason Augustus Newcomb, and I am going to give you a general reading based upon the energies flowing through your sign in the month of June 2016. The system that I'm going to use to do this reading is called Geomancy. It's also sometimes called Terrestrial Astrology, and it's one of the most ancient divination systems in the world. And a lot of people feel that it's one of the more accurate divination systems in the world because you're asking for wisdom directly from the anima mundi, or soul of the world. So let's jump in and get started. Now, the same thing happened to Gemini in my readings this month, and basically, to start with, we generate 4 mother letters or symbols. And the first symbol that you got was Cauda Draconis, which is the tail of the dragon, which symbolizes the end of things. And in certain medieval geomancers, and some modern ones too, feel that when you receive this symbol as the first one, you're just supposed to not continue with the reading because it's the ending of things, and so it's a bad omen or something. I generally tend not to go with that. I tend to just say, well, let's just see how it flows and see where things are going. But it is a little bit of a rough start to things because it means that things are coming to conclusion in your life, and there's a feeling of conclusion in your life. Now, interestingly enough, the second symbol is also Cauda Draconis in yours, and the third symbol is Tristitia, which is a less favorable one as well. So we've got 3 kind of unpleasant-ish. Cauda Draconis isn't necessarily bad in and of itself. It just represents endings. Tristitia represents sort of sadness and loneliness and feeling alone. So altogether, it's not that great of a start. But there's other symbols in the in the reading, so don't get into a panic. The fourth one, Puella, is actually a very positive one. It means happiness, harmony, good feeling, connection with other people in a positive sense. It's a very happy little card. I keep saying card. Jason, you got to stop this, buddy. I have these little cards for the symbols, but these are actually the geomancy has nothing to do with cards. These cards are I just use them to show them to you and to lay out my reading in an easy to look at way for myself. But it's actually the dots are generated in various ways, and in fact, the way I do it is with these things called Rommel dice. So it really has nothing to do with cards whatsoever. So anyway, the fourth symbol is quite positive, and from those 4 symbols are generated 4 daughters from the 4 mothers, and then 4 nieces from those as well, and then 2 witnesses and 1 judge. Now, the judge here, which is kind of the final energy of the geomancy reading, is actually a very positive symbol. It's acquisitio. It represents gain. It represents things, profit, things coming to ourselves, manifesting for ourselves in a positive way. So, all told, things are headed in a relatively positive direction. Now, this card isn't the whole story. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to look any further. We just go, oh, acquisitio, good. But no, it's not the whole. There are some less favorable things in here, but there is this positive energy as well flowing through here. So, I just want you to keep that in mind. Don't want you to get into panic. Don't want anyone writing me any angry emails saying, why'd you bum me out? We all have good. Life is a flow from positive to negative, back to positive, back to negative. We all experience those waves. And right now, this is just a wave of things coming to their conclusion, and a little bit of melancholy over some of those things that are changing. That's the initial energies. Now, let's switch this over to the horoscope wheel, because we lay out all the symbols into a horoscope, and then we look at how they relate to the houses. So, for instance, the house that deals with money is the second house, and in that we see Cauda Draconis. So in some way or another, things are ending in a financial sense. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. It can actually mean that it's the end of a long-term struggle, and it actually ends up being positive for you. Like, for instance, if you have a lawsuit or something like that that's coming to an end, that could be quite positive. It can also mean that an income stream is coming to an end, or it can mean that you're spending all your money and not having anything left over at all. So just be cautious. If you're near that end of the continuum, maybe it's time to hold on a little bit. If you've got a long-term lawsuit, know that it is coming to its conclusion. Will it come to its conclusion in an excellent way? Signs are pretty good for it. If it has to do with land or real estate, in the fourth house we have Puella, which I said is quite positive. If it has to do with sort of wills and contracts and stuff like that, the eighth house, we have Fortuna Major, so that could be quite positive. A lot of positive energy in there. In terms of lawsuits or contracts and stuff like that, that directly relate to you in contest with another person, we see Puer. Now, Puer is it's sort of a feisty energy, and it could go either way, but with all that positive energy around it, it probably indicates that it's going to be a little bit of a punch out, but it's going to go in your favor. In terms of your health, we see Fortuna Minor. Now that means a lesser good fortune, and so if you are suffering from a long-term illness or something like that, chances are you're going to have a positive step forward. It's not necessarily the full thing solved, but it's going to be a step in the right direction towards making things better. If you're in good health, it just basically means your good health is going to continue, and probably something positive is going to come along. You're going to realize that you can actually run a little faster than you thought you could, or something along those lines. Health-wise, things are looking good. They're moving in the right direction. In terms of your romantic life, we've got that energy of Puer. It's the same energy as for the contests and stuff. And so there's a feistiness to it. So I would say if you're in a long-term relationship, watch out for getting into quarrels about things that you're just not thinking through all that clearly. Watch out for sort of taking people for granted, or not thinking about other people's feelings in the actions that you're taking, because that can lead to disagreements. If you're not in a relationship right now, it can mean that you're about to enter into a relationship that is probably not as well thought out as you might do. Watch out for red flags, people behaving in ways that are overly controlling or crazy or something like that. Just watch out. And now it doesn't necessarily, I don't want to tell you to not get into a relationship, because it can just mean that a relationship kind of starts really passionately and has the potential to burn itself out quickly, but not necessarily either. So just be cautiously optimistic around the area of romance. In terms of your career, this is a month to be cautious, and a month to just try and go with the flow, because you've got this Cauda Draconis energy in your finances, and in the 10th house of career, you've got Amicio, and Amicio is the symbol of loss and of things flowing away from one. Now, but keep in mind, the judge was Acquisitio, which is the opposite of Amicio. See, they're like directly opposite one another. So this Acquisitio is a positive card that indicates that things in the long run are moving towards gain, towards profit, towards things flowing in the right direction for you. It's necessary for some stuff to end before you can get there, though. Okay, so that's a general reading based on the energies that are related to your sign. If you'd like a more personalized reading, what I want you to do is sign up for my mailing list below, and you will get information on how you can get a totally free personalized reading from me to you. I'll see you next month.